I want to go over the steps for creating a frequency distribution. I'm going to do this tornado problem right here. And you can see here is the data. And the first thing I've done is I've simply put it in Excel. And I didn't figure you need to watch me type 45 data points. So I've already done that. But that's going to be your first. Now the nice thing about my stats lab is usually you can just hit a button and it's going to appear. So that is a very nice thing. And you can just, open in Excel. The first thing you're going to want to do is you are going to sort the data if it is not already sorted. So click on the column you want to sort, go up to sort and filter, and sort from smallest to largest. That's going to be your first step, no matter what your data set is. So for instance, you're sorting your project parts. You're going to want to start by sorting the data. Then you're going to decide on your classes. And now in this case, this is pretty easy. You can see they go from 1 to 4. They're whole numbers. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Depending on that, you can look up here like this was Old Faithful. Old Faithful, you can see, goes from, these were already sorted, 125 to 264. The book talks about, pretty much you divide the range, how far apart, and try to put it into equal classes. Obviously, you're going to want to play with it a little bit. Now, Excel will make a histogram for you. The issue is that you will have to then transpose the frequency distribution, create it yourself, because it won't give it to you for the project. So you do need to be able to create the frequency distribution. The other thing is I don't particularly like how it makes in it. It doesn't know your data, and so it doesn't often make very good classes. Like for instance, tornadoes. I'm not going to go from, 0 to 1.5. You would never, the F scale of tornadoes, I'm not going to get a half or 1.5. I'm going to do whole numbers. It's not making those judgment calls though, so I don't think it does a very good job of making classes. So without actually work into the back end to fix that, it's better to hand make your frequency distributions both here, which often you're told what to use by the book, as well as for your project. So kind of some thoughts on that. So on this, I'm going to come through and I'm going to talk about, so this is the F scale, so this is tornadoes. And then you're going to have, which I misspelled. I think that's right now. It still looks wrong. Anyways. And then you're going to have the frequency, okay? And this is going to be on all of your frequency distributions. You're going to have whatever your class is. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The problem with what I just did is these are numbers. And if you go then to make a histogram, which is usually your next step, especially working the project, it is going to treat this as 2 rows of numbers. So for instance, if I'm just going to make this up for a minute. I'm going to come back and obviously do this. I go to make a graph here, okay? It actually did 2. The problem is it is reading it as a number. You have 2 options. You can either rewrite these as words, so 0, or what's really cool is you can put an apostrophe, okay? So the apostrophe, the button next to your enter key, and then the number, and it will read it as text. Now these are all text-based, and if I then go here and I go to insert, it will now read it. You can see down here they've assigned them as classes. This is a really useful trick as you're creating these because often this is the first step in something else. So kind of some thoughts there. Now you might think if you've looked at these before, you can click on this and you can go here to format cell and you can set as text. This doesn't work. I can't explain why, but I've tried that. It doesn't work. So, okay, now I need to figure these out. So here's the thing. By putting this, now I know all these. Now you can handcraft count these, but if you highlight everything you want and then you look down here on your thing, down here at the bottom, you see it says average, count, sum, count. There are 24. Now this is pretty easy because obviously I started from 0. I could just count, but 24. Then the ones, this is where it gets a little dicier and more useful. You can see here, down here, 16. Now there's ways to have it count it, but this is the easiest way. And then come down here and you can see that this I don't even need to count anymore. There's 2 2s, 2 of these, and 1 of these. The other thing you always want to do is you want to end by coming here and you want to sum and make sure that this number 45 is how many data points you started with. So you can see here I highlight them all. I had 45 data points. You always want to check that. It's really easy to lose something, and so a great final check is simply add them all up. So this would be my frequency distributions of these tornadoes in the U.S. that they have listed here. Hopefully some useful tips for you as you go forward making not only frequency distributions in this section, but in your histograms, the next section, and then of course your projects.